Hi everybody, this is Kevin, and welcome back to another anime review. And once again, I'd like to share my thoughts on Black Clover with the latest arc, the Royal Knights arc, which, you can sort of split this into two different parts. You have the first half, which is essentially your standard tournament arc that you would see in any shonen, manga, or anime. And then the second part is them infiltrating the Eye of the Midnight Sun and taking them head on. So, the first part is them assembling the team that will take on the Eye of the Midnight Sun. And just looking ahead, because I have watched a few of the episodes for the next arc, this arc is like over 20-something episodes, and the next arc is like 63 episodes. It's like, holy crap, man, I gotta think about what I'm gonna do for that video. If I'm gonna do a one long-ass video or split it up into parts. And, the previous arcs have all been like 10, 15 episodes. So, as I keep reiterating, this series gets better and better, and I acknowledge and accept the fact that it starts out slow. And I said in the past that I didn't really care for Asta as a character because of his voice. He's annoying and stuff. But at this point, I love Asta. I think he's great. He's really grown on me. I still like the side characters more than Asta, to be honest with you. But he's really grown on me, and I like his progression. Like, he actually has progressed. And it isn't really like the Asta show, because he needs help from everybody, because the kid has no magic. He has the anti-magic sword, right? Which you would think would be OP against all these wizards and whatnot. But no, I mean, he needs help from everybody, and I love it. So, the last arc was the Witch's Forest arc, which we got more character development with Vanessa, and she has the Cat Rouge, which is like the thread magic, the thread of fate. So she's sort of OP in her own right, too, where she can evade enemy attacks as long as she has enough magic. And we learned about her mother and all that. And then we actually saw Asta in his demon form, which he calls his black form at this point. But, it's like a demon. We saw the scene of him, he gets like the fang in one side and he turns all black. His eye turns red because he normally has green eyes. And they defeated Mars and Ladros, who actually ended up being good guys in the end, especially Mars, who just wanted to reunite with Fauna, who I sort of thought Mars and Fauna were brother and sister, but they're sort of love interests now, so they went off happily ever after, and all's good, and it's all, going on. So, anyway, they go back to the Clover Kingdom, and Asta's arms are all repaired, and, they take some time off, and at this point, time has progressed in the series, and it's been a year. So, they're headed back to Clover Kingdom for the Star Festival. So, after every job they do, they're either awarded or taken away a star. And at the end of the year, they're going to count all the stars to figure out which squad is the best. And really, it's the Golden Dawn. And the Golden Dawn wins. We all know the Golden Dawn's the best. But before we get ahead of ourselves, so they're parading around in the Clover Kingdom, and they run into Kyoto and Kohona again, who are the two from the Seabed Temple arc. And if you remember, the girl got her throat attacked, and she can't sing anymore. And then the boy lost his leg in battle against Veto. So, Asta and Noelle have the blood recovery magic from the witch. And they give it to the two of them, and their throat and their legs are healed, and they're singing and dancing, and everything's great. And then you got like the little tension between Asta and Noelle, because, Noelle's crushing on Asta. There's sort of a love triangle there, too, because Noelle likes Asta, but she can't admit it because, she's royalty. And Asta's just a commoner. And then Mimosa likes Asta, too, but she's not even afraid of it. So, you got that going on. And then in the midst of all this crazy shit going on, so we have the threat of the Eye of the Midnight Sun, which is, they're scheming, but they're gonna take a little break, and you have Yami, who's like in the little town bazaar, and he's cooking these fillets, and he's using like his katana to chop them in half, and then he's having like a cooking contest with Jack the Ripper from the Green Praying Mantis squad, and he has Seke, the guy who goes, ha ha, helping him, and then Jack, his little catchphrase, he just goes, kya, kya, kya. So I wonder if every member of the Green Praying Mantis has a catchphrase like that. You have Seke, ha ha, and then Jack going, kya, kya, kya. So they're having this cooking contest, and, there's no clear winner, so they decide to duel each other, and him being the Praying Mantis, he grows these things on his arms where he slices. He calls it like the slice magic, and of course, Yami has the katana, and he has dark magic, lifeless slash, like dark blade, lifeless slash, and I love when the shonen characters like call out their attacks like that. It's so badass, like lifeless slash, and then you have who else? You have Magna, who's like fire explosion, and Noelle's is sea dragons roar. Like, I just love when the characters scream at the top of their lungs their attacks. I think it's fucking badass. So that goes on, and they're about to kill each other. And then Julius, the Wizard King's like, now, boys, we shouldn't be doing that. And he gets them to stop, and they make their way back. And then they run into Charlotte. So Charlotte is the captain of the Blue Rose Knights, and it's the all-girls squad. And there's the other girl, Soul, who is like, oh, how you doing, Char? And then Charlotte keeps saying, call me captain. Oh, whatever you say, Char. They got that little catchphrase going on. And she has a crush on Yami. So they're sitting there, and Yami just starts getting drunk. He's like kicking back the drinks, and Charlotte thinks, oh, I gotta, sort of do that to win his good graces. And then Vanessa shows up, and she's the one who at the I was gonna call it the guild hall because I'm reading fairy tale too. At the hideout, she's always guzzling too, and so she decides to have a booze off, a drink off between Charlotte and Vanessa to win over Yami. And Vanessa can just pound him down, and Charlotte has one sip, and she's just blacks out. She's wasted. So as all this is going on, there's an uproar. The Clover King shows up, and he's like, oh, we're going to count the stars. And Julius is there. He's like, oh, I expect Yami not to be here. All the captains are there at this point. I expect Yami not to be here, but what is Charlotte doing? Where is she? So they tally up all the stars, and of course, the Golden Dawn is the winners, right? And they acknowledge the fact that the rookie, Asta'S, sort of brother. They're both orphans. They have different parents, obviously, but we'll just call the rival, essentially. He has the most stars for the Golden Dawn as a rookie and a commoner, which they acknowledge. And then coming in second place are the Black Bulls with Asta'S, which is amazing because the Black Bulls always finish last, and through all their hard work, they come in second place. And Julius, the Wizard King, makes note of this. Like, look, they rose up, and these are two commoners. They're two rookies. And look how hard they worked, and here's what's going on. And then they reveal the fact that we're going to assemble the Royal Knights, and basically they're going to do the tournament arc, and whoever wins basically goes on to fight the Eye of the Midnight Sun. So after that, some more time passes. Then we get a little scene that cuts to this character. Well, we'll call him Xerx for now. Well, I'm going to spoil it. His name is Zora Ideali. And let me show you what he looks like, too, because this guy has become my favorite character. Fucking just the way he looks. I don't know why. It's just, well, his mannerisms and everything, but just the way he looks too. It's definitely interesting. So Zora Ideali shows up, and he steals the the thing he has here, the cape for the Black Bulls. He steals the one from Xerx Lugner, so he can, and he's the vice captain of the Purple Orcas, so he can enter the Royal Knights exam as well. And his motive is the fact that there's a tragic story of his father. His father was a member of the Purple Orcas way back when, as a commoner, the first commoner ever to be a magic knight, and was doing everything from the good of his heart, from the bottom of his heart, helping people, protecting everybody, being an all-around great guy, and he was actually murdered by his own comrades. So Zora has a grudge against all magic knights, particularly the royal ones, because they killed his father. And just a really tragic story with that. And taking after his father, he uses ash trap magic. So he sets up all these traps everywhere to ensnare his opponents. And, he's not really strong physically, but he's very smart, and he sort of plans ahead. So as they're selecting all the teams, they actually group Asta'S with Mimosa, which is great because Mimosa likes Asta'S, and then Zora. So at this point, they don't know who Zora is. And it's funny because the first match, Zora is sleeping. Because he's like, oh, I planted all these traps the night before. I need to catch some rest. And they're all like, what is he sleeping for? But he was being serious because he did plant all the traps to give them the advantage. And then eventually his traps work. And as more teams are selected, you have Yuno is actually teamed with Noelle and this other character named N from the Green Praying Mantises. You have Luck, who's teamed up with Klaus, the guy with the glasses from the Golden Dawn, and he's like, oh, what is this fool? Because all Luck's like, let's spar. He's the really crazy kid who just wants to spar. He uses the lightning magic, and so some interesting matchups there. Then who else do we have? We have Magna is teamed up with Soul, and then there's another dude. It's Mimosa's brother or cousin maybe. His name is Kirsch Vermilion. So they all have like the royal families and stuff like that, and he's part of that. And then Leopold is also joining the Magic Knights. Shit, I got ahead of myself too, just going crazy off the cuff here. So before all this stuff happens, right, we meet Marileona Vermilion. I guess you remember talking about Leopold. We meet Marileona Vermilion, and that's Fuegoleon's sister. And at this point, still, Fuegoleon is in the coma because he got his arm chopped off in the Battle of the Eye of the Midnight Sun episodes ago. And she shows up assuming the role of the captain of the Crimson Lion Kings, because her brother's out of commission. He was the former captain. And before the whole tournament starts, she takes them on the Hot Springs training, and they have to use Mana Zone to traverse through these volcanoes to get to the hot spring, and it's essentially a test. And she's just crazy, man. She's got like the fangs coming out of her mouth, and she's very, very powerful. One of the most powerful Magic Knights we've seen so far. So we got all that, and then eventually everything keeps going on, and actually Finral goes up against his brother, Longris. And the thing with that, we get more backstory about Finral. So they have the same father, Finral and Longris, but a different mother. And Longris uses a spatial mage as well, but he can use it for attack, whereas Finral just uses it to open the portals. And he goes through a transformation where Vanessa cuts his hair, and he's like, yeah, I'm a badass now because I got a different haircut. And he actually does quite well, but it causes his brother to snap, and he unleashes this rage, putting his brother into a coma, and really, really tragic stuff there. Fuck Longris. I don't like that kid at all. Like, I understand that where they're going, they want us to feel sorry for him, the two brothers, but I'm on Finral's side all the way. Longris, total asshole, He deserves what's coming to him. And they have him, like, in the dungeon now, like, interrogating him to find out why he did that. So, also, another matchup we got to see was Magna's team went up against Luck, and Luck defeated him easily, so... Magna's all pissed because they're sort of rivals in their own right, and then Magna's, saying, I gotta go train and become stronger now, and that's where he leaves the arc at the end there, so it'll be cool to see him appear again. So all this stuff goes on, and as everything's happening, you have the Black Bulls cheering from the sidelines. You have Charmy, the little girl who, well, she's not even little. She's one of the oldest members of the squad, but she just appears small, and all she does is eat. And she sits on Julius's lap the whole time, like cheering on her squad. And Julius has like the big eyes, like oh, and she keeps feeding him, like here, eat this. She's got like cupcakes and stuff. And so then we had the how I said Longris defeated Finral. They went into a coma. This is a nitpick I have. So then they had this big matchup where it's Asta'S team, and at this point Zora reveals his identity and is working for the team now, decides, we got to work together, teamwork, these guys aren't so bad after all. And like I said, Asta, Mimosa, and Zora up against Longris' team. It doesn't even matter who's on his team. I forget anyway. But they're going up against each other. And as it ends, the episode, I think it's episode 82 or maybe it's 81, as it ends, right, Zora's getting ready for his epic attack, and he's got his fangs coming out, like you've seen his face. I'll show it again. He's got like the big teeth there. Let's see, like this is how the dude looks, right? So he's getting ready for his epic attack, and the episode ends, right, and then the next episode is a completely filler episode called like Charmy's Adventure or something. It's the Clover Petites. They do at the end of each episode, they do like a short little funny bit. And essentially, this episode is completely filler, and they give it to you right in between when Zora's going to do his epic attack against Longris, and it's like, what the fuck, dude? Let's save the filler for another time. What are you doing, man? So that really pissed me off. I watched it anyway, just because I'll watch every episode. I mean, it's only 170 episodes for the series, so, keep with it. But that just really got me upset, and I'm like, come on. So then Zora gets ready for his attack. That's when they defeat Longris and take him out, and, he's getting ready to go in for the kill, and then Luck, Magna, Asta all step in and are like, hands off, dude. And at this point, Julius just senses a disturbance, and he's like, we gotta get to the bottom of this. But eventually, they select the teams, and even the losing teams. Eventually, the winner of the whole tournament is Yuno's team, Yuno, Noel, and N from the Green Praying Mantis, who uses like mushroom or fungus magic, he says. So... it all ends, and they reveal the teams, and Mirleona is the captain, and they select, of course, Yuno and all of them, Noel. They actually select Luck, Klaus. They select Asta, Zora, Rill, who is actually the captain of the Aqua Deer, who snuck his way in. And there's a little bit of backstory with him. He's a little bit strange. But the little backstory of him, how he became a Magic Knight, and he's one of the youngest captains, believe it or not, which is interesting. So then, as they're all getting ready to go on, everyone goes their separate ways. They have the people go with Mirleona to infiltrate the Eye of the Midnight Sun. Yami goes because he has to meet with William Vengeance, the captain of the Golden Dawn. And then, like I said, Magna decides he has to go on his own training now to surpass Luck, and he leaves. And then Vanessa goes somewhere. She's going like shopping or something. So at the guild, we just have Gauche, Gordon, and Gray, who, I gotta say, Gray, Gordon, and then this other character I'm gonna mention in a minute, have really become my favorite characters, the unsung heroes of the Black Bulls. And they're at the hideout, presumably the weakest members, when they get attacked by members of the Eye of the Midnight Sun, Rades, Valtos, and Sally. And they're looking for one of the final magic stones. Alright? So all this is going on. Julius has 2 stones. The Eye of the Midnight Sun has God knows how many stones. And then the Black Bulls hideout has the 1 stone. And they go to infiltrate the base. And as this is going on, Gauche is doing his best because he's the most powerful of the ones there. And he's using his reflect magic. It's really not doing a whole lot. And there's this epic scene when Gray and Gordon are both defeated. And Gordon's the guy who's... He talks like this. He mumbles. He can't understand a damn word he's saying. Every time he talks, there's subtitles. And Gray is, I'm so nervous. She does that thing all the time. And they get up from being beaten down. They go, we have to protect our hideout. They raise their voices. It was fucking awesome, man. And then even still, they keep getting their asses beat. And all throughout the past few arcs, they've been talking about this ghost wandering the halls of the Black Bulls hideout. And for whatever reason, the hideout always changes. All the rooms always end up in different locations. And we meet the character Henry, who is, the ghost, but also a member of the Black Bulls. And he lives in the hideout. We got a tragic backstory about him, how he can only survive living in the hideout, and he survives by draining magic from other people, so that's why he doesn't get too close to them. But actually, Asta met him because he has no magic and was so friendly to the guy. And also, when Yami founded the hideout, he gave Henry the Black Bull's robe, and he said, if you ever decide you want to help, here's the robe, you're a part of this group, okay? So he comes out there, and he turns the whole Black Bull's hideout into the Raging Bull, and it's like this giant bull that joins the battle. It's fucking awesome, dude. So we have this guy Henry, and he's very weak, and he talks like this, and just him entering the fray, getting Gauche, Gray, Gordon joining the battle, raising their voice. It was so awesome to see, and I understand now that the whole Black Bulls dynamic, they're all a bunch of social outcasts. They all have their own problems. You have Asta. He has no magic. You have Noelle, who has been forsaken by her royal family because when she was younger, she couldn't control her magic. You have Yami, who, anytime you see him, he's just wearing, he's from a different country, they say. And that's his backstory. And anytime you see him, he's just smoking his cigarette. He's just, Yami. You have, Finral, the lesser of the Vaude brothers. Longris is the superior brother. You have Gordon, who is the shy Gordon guy. And his thing, he talks like that because he's ashamed. He first of all, his appearance, he sort of looks like Marilyn Manson. And he has the poison magic, which is, I guess frowned upon. You have Gray, the little girl who's, I'm so nervous. Gauche, who, all he cares about is his sister. So he never really had time to make friends. Magna, who's, not really the most powerful of many people. He's a commoner himself. Luck, his mother died. I mean, so many tragic stories of the Black Bulls group, and I love them. I love them all, and I will say, just seeing this, how they defended the hideout there, they eventually didn't win, but they still put up a valiant fight, and it was great seeing everyone join the battle there, seeing Gray and Gordon raise their voice, and I loved it, man. I really thought it was fantastic. I will say, though, as the Black Bull, it turned into the mechanical suit that Henry was controlling. It was CGI, and it wasn't very good. It looked like PlayStation 1 tier graphics, but, the heart in it, it's... And that's the thing, too. A lot of the animation, it's definitely low-tier animation, but I love the story and the heart and soul in it. It's fantastic. So, they put up a valiant effort, but Valtos was able to get the stone anyway. And it's great to see. And I can't wait to see, how they enter the fray in the next arc, how they're going to help the other people, So, like I said, Yami went to meet with William Vengeance and isn't showing up. And it turns out that Vengeance makes his way to Julius and reveals himself that he is actually Patri, who looks like Licht, but isn't Licht. But really, the guy, the leader of the Eye of the Midnight Sun, who they've been calling Licht, is really Patri. And they want to revive the elves, right? So they need all the stones to revive the elves. So they're going up against Julius, the Wizard King. And, William Vengeance was a host. And Yami was suspicious of this many arcs ago, but, let it slide because Vengeance took off his mask and, he has the same voice as Patri, but, he's a good guy. And they've been sharing the same body. So they make their way there to fight Julius. And in an epic battle at the end there, Julius has time magic, so he can stop all the attacks that keep going his way, reverse time and whatnot. But what Patri decides to do is use all this light magic to rain it down on everybody. So Julius has to use the last of his power to save every citizen in the Clover Kingdom, which drains his magic. Doesn't kill him, but it drains his magic, rendering him weak so that Patri can deliver the finishing blow, and Julius dies. And at this, because Yami's been waiting at the Golden Dawn for hours, he's like, why is William keeping me? What the hell is Vengeance's problem? Races his way there to see his mentor, and again, we get more flashbacks. So before Julius was the Wizard King, he was actually the captain of the Aqua Deer and had both Yami and Vengeance as his underlings, and then created both the Golden Dawn and the Black Bulls for the two of them to become captains. So they have great admiration for Julius. And, it ends with Julius dying. And essentially, the Royal Knights, who have made their way into the Eye of the Midnight Sun's capital, led by Merleona, are in a trap. And not looking good. But also going on there, so I've talked more about what happened outside. Inside the Eye of the Midnight Sun, Merleona is leading the charge. She's using her fire, Kalibros Raka! And she's like, punching really fast, like pretty badass. And, at the end there, they're bringing back the elves. So it ends on a cliffhanger there. I've watched a few episodes of the Elf Reincarnation arc, which is the next one, so I don't want to talk too much about the next arc while I'm covering this, but I loved a lot of the moments. I love the Black Bulls. All the side characters are great. Zora making his epic moves, like, I showed you in the intro clip there, the opening, like, just his magic. He does the trap magic, just the way the character looks like a fucking badass. And, he eventually joins the Black Bull. So after the royal exam or whatever, Julius talks to him and is like, I knew your father. Your father was a great man, and encourage him to join. And Yami presents him with the Black Bull's cape. So I love the series, man. The haters of the series, people need to give these series a chance. When you have a long-running series, don't dip out after 10 episodes. I understand the beginning of the series is slow. It's you kind of have to get through it. It gets good, though. It really does get good. And that's what I said in a couple of the other videos. You have to keep watching, and that's why these payoffs mean so much more. Like, seeing the payoff of Gray and Gordon raising their voice for the first time, I love that, man. I thought it was fantastic, and I can't wait to continue the series and see what happens next. And we're in for a lot of great battles. And I can't wait to see what happens next. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you've been watching or reading Black Clover, let me know in the comments down below. So, what I understand, I gotta watch the Elf Reincarnation arc.